Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I will call this meeting to order. If you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, Lisa, can we get a roll call, please?
Mayor?
Present.
Broughton?
Here.
Broughton, I'm sorry, DePalma?
Here.
Marshall?
Here.
Thurman? Here. Unruh?
Here.
Rumble?
Here. All right, so we need to approve the agenda. Before we do that, we have a couple changes. I know letter O needs to be added to the correspondence for the minutes that were sitting at your seat when you got here. Those are for the Election Commission for 9/27 of 21. And then A, B, and C are being removed from the new business. Stuart is not ready to do that yet. He called me this afternoon, so A, B, and C are being removed, so D becomes A, and we have A through I for new business.
That'll make the meeting shorter.
Yep, it sure will. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Thank you,
Support.
Kathy. Thank you, Bob. We have a motion to approve the agenda as amended. So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, that brings us right into our first thing, which is the presentation from Randy with IT, right? You come up.
So Randy, let me just start before. Randy's giving a presentation now to show new IT support services that IT Right / what's the new company? VC3 is it? Yeah, that they've added to our current services. I just wanted to kind of let people know who you are, and you can go from there, Randy.
Is it okay if I stand over here and kind of...
Yeah.
Yep.
So, my name is Randy Allen. I'm the president of IT Right, and I'm here to talk a little bit today about what we're doing currently with IT supports and things that we're going to do in the future forward to further protect the township, and we'll cover all this. So we're headquartered in central Michigan, just north of Lansing. We're 100% U.S. based. We have actually 45 plus IT professionals currently that are staff. And our focus is entirely governmental. We only do townships, villages, cities, and counties throughout Michigan. We are experts in the vertical space. We'll be a city's go-to company. We're very closely associated with them. And we dot our I's and cross our T's as regards to the criminal justice information system and the law enforcement lien network. So we're all lien compliant. Because we work on a variety of sheriff's departments, 911 centers, township and city police department stuff. So, this graphic just kind of gives a little bit of a visual, so you can see our density is mostly in your portion of the state and throughout the Michigan mid here, but most of our density is in the greater Detroit portion of the state, say versus the west side. So. We've got a lot of activity in this area. We're down in this area all the time. I've got technicians that live out this way and so forth. Our primary goal is your security and to manifest an immediate response to cyber attacks. We have very sophisticated tools that are in place that enable us to isolate a machine that was being attacked even from Bath. So if you were under attack at this very minute, we could get in, isolate that machine, segment it from the network so it could not infect the rest of the network, and then take immediate response to that attack. So we have some pretty sophisticated tools that are in place there. The threat landscape has changed quite a bit over the past few years, and ransomware attacks are up over 66% in the local government space, and that statistic is actually a few years old, so it's up from there. 3 out of 4 attacks according to Barracuda Networks are against local government. The big 3 that I can tell you that are doing the attacking are from outside our nation's borders. It's Russia, Iran, and China, are the 3 known largest attackers. There's real-time attack maps that you can watch. It looks like a little World War III diagram where you see the attacks going back and forth across the water. And I'm not claiming that we're innocent. We're doing our first bit of tax recommendations too. But it's going on, and it's going on every second of every day. So it's our job to protect you as much as we can. You can see where IT failed to protect the city of Keene, Texas, and they're held up for $2.5 million in ransom. They're no bigger than the city of Manston. They're not like that, 7,000. We had the gas pipeline hit the southeastern portion of the United States. And I think we're all aware of that. That was in the news. And it caused a real panic. There was also an attack on water supply in Florida where they tried to poison people. And that was thwarted. And it got the attention of everyone that has a water system throughout the state. There have been multiple attacks here in Michigan. Now, I'm aware of 3 attacks on counties that took place from December to now, but I will not name those counties in this meeting because they're not my clients. And it would be embarrassing to say, hey, the county of so-and-so got attacked and was down for a week. But yes, they happen. So for every one that makes the news, there's 9 or 10 more that you're not hearing about because we're keeping it under wraps, trying to keep it out of the board meetings, trying to keep it out of public consciousness. But these kinds of things happen. And are quite prevalent. So as the threat landscape has increased, our need to respond over time has increased. This is a kind of a snapshot of your historical support. So historically, we've provided the township local, unlimited, US-based help desk. You guys have been able to get help desk whenever you call. Nights, weekends, holidays, you can call us Christmas morning. We'll call you back within 15 minutes and start working on that issue. We stay open late on election nights, that kind of thing. Unlimited field response, you get that during business hours, Monday through Friday. Come out here as often as we need to fix issues. If we need, 2 hands and a heartbeat in the room. And automated systems monitoring, meaning that we're patching all of your machines, and also we're doing third-party patching, so your Java, your Google, all that stuff's getting patched as well. With backups, not only have we been backing up your data, but we've started moving to image-based backups so that we can get full snapshot images of servers. Now, everywhere where you see it say enhanced, we've added things since we've started our relationship with you, such as enhanced with secure FIPS compliant remote access by IT technicians. FIPS 140-2 is the compliancy that's required by the FBI in order to interact with law enforcement data. Now, I know there's not a law enforcement element per se in this building. But because we support law enforcement throughout the state, what's good for them is good for the goose is good for the gander. So what we're going to do for them, we're going to do for others. So the device that we use is the same device that the state of Michigan uses to perform remote access, so that there's no middleman, there's no third party watching us support you. When we come in to remote to your machine, it's just us, the device, and you. There's no middleman, there's no logging in or team group. That's necessary in terms of supporting law enforcement, but we consider that necessary in terms of supporting all of our clients, because we want to treat everyone with those same white gloves. Okay? The image-based backups, now we have full image snapshots of your servers as well, so that we can restore those images and restore servers quicker than before. The quickest restoration I've seen done within the past year was 15 minutes from the time the server was down to the time we had an image up and running. We've also enhanced your service with a live 24/7 security operations center, or SOC center, that's monitoring your servers day and night, and if there's any kind of attack, they notify us right away, and we take action. There was an attack that came in last year at around 3 in the morning, and I don't have a full third shift right now, so we're on call. So it came in around 3 in the morning. These guys woke us up and said, hey, there's an attack going on. We were able to find the clients that were being attacked, remediate it, and stop the attack before our clients flipped the light on that day. Before they flipped the light on at 7 in the morning, we had already fixed the issue due to this enhanced light monitoring. Our anti-ransomware is something we're quite proud of. This actually has an enhanced AI that can stop what we call zero-day threats or ground-day attacks. A zero-day threat is nothing more than an attack that's never been previously identified. It's never been seen before. This is the first time. It's like day one of that virus. Now, that can cause people to think, well, does it really happen that often? We stopped 5 zero-day attacks in 1 week last year. It does happen. Michigan, local government is definitely a target. And if you get unfortunate enough to get hit with a zero-day attack, most of your modern antivirus solutions, such as Symantec and Mac, will fail you, and they will get in and do damage. Ours stops that kind of thing. And as a further kicker, if they do get in and do the damage and do hold you for ransom, ours is built in with rollback technology, so we can roll back and decrypt the files without paying any ransom or anything. So they don't get any money from us. We don't go to the board with our hand out. We don't make the news. Everybody's happy, right? So we've got, and this is all about layers, guys. I mean, I'm a former military. I was in the Army for 8 years. And one of the things that they taught me when I first joined was you don't just set one perimeter and set it and forget it. Because if the bad guys get past that perimeter, they're in. So you want to create, and law enforcement's the same way, you want to create as many perimeters as you can so that they have to pass through several doors to get to the nucleus of things. IT security is really no different. So it's our job to feather in as many layers as we can, so long as we're not slowing down the speed of business. We don't want to slow down your ability to work. At the same time, we want to feather in these additional layers, and we've been doing this over the course of time. So this is kind of the growth that you've seen since 2016. Things that we're wanting to do going forward is take an even more proactive approach to your network. So we want to assign you a dedicated technical alignment manager, which I'll talk about in a minute, a dedicated virtual chief information officer, start a sophisticated security training campaign for the township, and other things that we've been feathering in is we now have a dedicated projects team. We've increased help desk and staffing. And we're adding a live third shift here in 2022, which means if you call at 3 in the morning, there'll actually be someone there to answer the phone. So there's a lot of things that we're doing that are going to bring more value to the service. One of the big ones is the Center for Internet Security. And this kind of gets its own part of the talk because this is a big deal. This is the same security level that is being pushed by the state of Michigan. So we call it the state of Michigan tomorrow and said, what security do you guys recommend? We're going to say the Center for Internet Security is the benchmarks we recommend. We did a webinar with the state police and one of the reps from the state police cybersecurity team and one of the reps from the state of Michigan cybersecurity team. And I think I sent a copy of that webinar to Scott. And it's a 45-minute webinar, but you can hear them talking about CIS to the whole thing, talking about this is what we'd like to see people doing. And they also make a few remarks during the presentation that, IT right is following the same kinds of standards. So you can, the point I'm trying to drive home here is we're trying to walk as closely as we can in lockstep with what the state of Michigan is asking us to do. So the TAM, this is a person that's going to be assigned, a senior engineer that's assigned to the township that will on a quarterly basis do deep dives into your network from a security and infrastructure standpoint. So he's going to be making sure that we're aligning your standards to industry standard best practices. These aren't IT rights best practices. This is the industry's best practices. All right. Same ones the state of Michigan are following. He's going to be the most technical resource. His visit is not to fix a printer necessarily or install a PC, which he could do those things. But he's actually here to, again, do a much higher level dive, kind of like, think like IT director level stuff. And then from that, he's going to take that information. This is an example of one of the reports that he runs. And he's going to identify your needs via technical analysis. And then he's going to take that back to the BCIO. The BCIO is the virtual chief information officer. That's your ombudsman for the township. So this is someone who's going to be meeting with Scott or whomever you deem is your champion for the IT here. But we need to meet with at least one person. And the BCIO sits down with Scott and kind of goes over, hey, this is what we're seeing on the reports. These are the top 3 or top 5 things that we think needs to be done. And when do you think we can do that? These 3 things here, they don't cost anything, but this one over here, it has some dollars and cents associated with it. Most of the projects that we identify, by the way, don't cost anything. It's just stuff that needs done, and we need to take some proactive steps to getting that done. When it does cost dollars and cents, we're going to work with you to help you budget that out as well. So the VCI is going to help actually create a strategy, a strategic roadmap on the things that we need to do to measurably move the ball down the field towards making the township more secure, and more productive, and more in line with industry standard best practices. And as we create that roadmap, if there's dollars and cents associated with it, we're going to work with you on when that works from the township budget. We're not going to force the township hard on anything. It's our job to educate you. If the money's not good now to do this thing, but we all in agreement that it needs to be done, then we can plan for a time to do it out in the future, whether it's Q1 of next year or Q2 of next year. But at least it's on a timeline and it's not being ignored so that we can move the township forward. Now, the whole thing is I want to create measurable marks in the sand and say, here's where we are, here's where we need to get to, here's how we get there, and create a game plan, and then, all right, how do we do this together? And this has proved very fruitful for us with a variety of townships, cities, and counties throughout the state. It's worked wonders at the city of Hamtramck, it's worked wonders at Renfrew Township, and in City of Bloomfield Hills, Rochester, you name it. So, I said measurable earlier. It's something that we take quite seriously. We read every single review we ever get. Okay, in the past year, the support from Brandon Township, we've gotten reviews that total out to 4.55 out of a total of 5 stars. 5 stars being perfect, 1 being horrible. So our reviews from Brandon Township have been quite good. But I just wanted you to know that we do read these, and these reviews are both objective and subjective. So objectively, you can say, did we show up on time? And subjectively, you can write in, hey, I don't think that guy knew what he was doing. so we look at all that. Anything 4.5 or below, we take very seriously. We pull that down. We talk with the technician. We look at it. We see if we can't turn this bad experience into a good experience. But I do want to encourage township members to give us both good and bad reviews. It does me no good if I get all good reviews. You know, where do I grow from that? So if we have something bad that we need to work on, we need to know about it, because that gives us the chance to adjust fire and fix that. Center for Internet Security, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a snapshot of what could be done. Does someone have the book up here on the table? It's a gigantic Bible-sized binder. So this is an example of one domain controller security report. This is one report. It's almost 500 pages long. Okay, this is an IT person's report. It's very thick. You're welcome to look through it, but it makes my eyes blur. Okay. Fortunately, I'm not the guy that has to fix this stuff. But I've got guys that do. And when we run these reports, everywhere we went, our clients score somewhere between a 24 and a 32%. I've even talked to the folks at the Center for Internet Security, so that's part of the course. If you look at these handouts that I gave you, that's your
There's not enough for everyone.
domain controller's score. So.
It's only not enough for
which is
everybody,
page
Bob. If you want to show Dana.
13, which is the very last page.
We can share this.
So this graphic is to illustrate what we're going to be able to do if given the opportunity. We're going
That's
to be
pretty
able
long.
to work on your domain controllers, your member servers, any flat machines, move them from that 20 or 30% zone that you're in right now, and get you up in the lower 70s, upper 80s here in the next little bit. So there's a lot that we can do to move the needle on this security. And this is an IT person's report, so if Scott, being an IT guy, wanted to, he can peel through this page by page, follow the directions, and start fixing things. But this will be a full-time job.
You got time? You got time?
So, but, and by the way, as far as we know, we're the only people in the state of Michigan doing this for our client base. Other people are paying the nose for this. I know because I saw the state of Michigan do an RFP for this very thing. And for an organization your size, you would pay $10,000 just to have this, just to report. But you're getting that baked in. That's part of your relationship with us. So let's talk a little bit about pricing. So been with IT Rights since 2016. The previous all-inclusive bundle was $1,600. You got 2 servers and 26 machines between the township and fire department, averaging out to, on a monthly basis, I know you pay annually, the industry seems to always talk about recurrence for pricing. So on a monthly basis, you come out to about $10. So our plan is to take the township up to $50 per seat and lock that price in for 3 years, guaranteeing that price for the next 3 years. This is fully half the industry average. That's not just me guessing. I can show some proof to that. And bring the new rate to $1,600. Now I know it's a big jump. Take a look at this. This is Bloomfield Hills. Okay, this is the closest RFP to you guys geographically that I can find. But you can see here that we were fully almost half the cost of the next serious bidder. We know that because they're coming in at about $100 to $150 per seat per month. Okay, that's the going rate. So if the township decides to go out to bid, that's kind of what you're gonna expect to see. A little bit smaller scale, because it'd be fewer seats than Bloomfield, but relative to that, it's gonna scale out about like that. I've got other RFPs that I've sent Scott defending that exact same form. So he's got those if other board members need to see them. Labor alone, last year's average labor alone was 93.8 hours, which if at our old billing rate was $150 an hour, that was $14,070 worth of value to just raw labor. Today's rates is $160 an hour due to inflation this year, which would have been $15,008. So we're really close here just in labor, and that's not counting all the other services we've talked about, the TAM, the BCIO, the proactive management, the security training.
The backup.
The other things that we've feathered in over the years. So we've added a lot. We've tried to put our money where our mouth is. We haven't come with our hand out since the beginning. We've kept you guys on the same pricing since the beginning. And shame on us for that we didn't increase it over time.
It's okay.
We have a plan.
We appreciate that.
We have a plan to take care of that future forward, but for now, I've got to get you guys up closer to where other folks are. Now, cards completely on the table. Brand new client that I bring in today, I'm bringing in at $80 a seat. So bringing you guys up to $50 a seat is still a great deal, especially if you like that in for 3 years. I think it's a steal. I think it'll be hard to find all-inclusive IT services for under $20,000 for a location this size, much less 16. So I think, although the rate's a shock, and I understand that, and believe me, I would be upset as well if I was in your shoes. But one of the things that I would encourage you to do is to think about it, and then if you feel like this is a good rate, let's lock this in. If you don't, and you want to go to RFP, even though you guys are due to renew in the next few days here, we can just go month to month for a couple of months so that you can go to RFP. So I don't want to prevent the board from doing the due diligence if that's what you feel like you got to do. If we go to RFP, I would probably come back in at modern rates, right? $80 a seat, so it'd be a little bit more. But if we can do this, ma'am, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I just had a question. If you go back to the screen that showed that, so we didn't pay the $6,800 on top of, you're saying that if you would have billed us for the work you did, that's what it would have cost us,
Yes, ma'am.
correct?
Yeah, you've been getting a great value. That's just to show you that you've been getting a good value.
That's just, if we would just went like, okay, we're gonna just pay you for your work, that's what it would have been.
That would be labor alone. That wouldn't cover your
Right.
any of the tools that I've talked about.
And the 16.8 now still covers labor, so we're not gonna start paying an hourly labor rate still.
Yes, ma'am.
It still covers all the labor.
So you don't pay for any projects that are less than $80 an hour. So, obviously, if it's a big multi-day project.
Something new, right, but just the general,
But
we're
the
not
general
gonna.
Day-to-day, no. It's all gonna be, you're gonna get the same services you got, plus all the extras that I've talked about.
Okay.
And then we kicked on top of it, all for that one rate of 16, whatever it was.
Okay, thank you.
So this graphic here, yes ma'am, this graphic here just kind of wraps everything together. I like this graphic because it really drives home the point that security isn't any one thing. There's no one solution. There's not a magic bullet. There's not a magic pill. There's nothing that I can bring to the township and say, if you had this, you're good. If there was such a thing, I'd be a millionaire and on a beach somewhere. So security requires a holistic approach where we got to put our arms around the network and look at it from a variety of different angles. It absolutely requires a proactive approach. We found a way that works, that we think is cost effective, and a good value for our clients. So, folks, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Randy.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you,
Happy to
Randy.
field any questions if you have any.
Chief, I have a question. Chief Quapis, I know that your system is tied in with the Sheriff's Department as far as record keeping.
It's tied in with Oakland County,
Okay,
as far as our actual fire reporting stuff. And then as far as our medical stuff, that's tied in separately through a web-based application.
so then how does this tie in with a system that's already tied in with the Sheriff's Department?
Well, any machine that sits here at the township would still be vulnerable to an attack. So if I touch that machine, work on that machine, any of those kinds of things, I would need to do so in a lean compliant manner.
But
Okay,
just
so-
to be clear, Bob, though, I think to maybe I'm going to help answer your question, is everything that Dave's group is doing is going to be affected by the decisions we make tonight, because their server and their PCs, if you will, their computers, are all under this contract as well. So when we're talking about, the number of computers that are supported, it's the township plus the fire department.
Absolutely.
The sheriff's department is on Oakland County.
Right.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
We will when we get to the contract, I'm sure, but thanks, Randy.
All right.
All right, thank you, Randy.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, that brings us into our reports. We have our treasury report. We have the general ledger report, our designated funds report. The reconciliation for March is there. Building department report, up to 7 houses so far this year started. And then the permit report there from building. Parks and Rec report is in here. Fred was not able to be here tonight. We do have the Edna Burton Senior Center report, and Faye was also not able to be here. And then we have the CDBG funds report. Rosalind, do you want to say anything about that?
No, just the spending performance ratio is at 0.15.
Okay. Thank you. And then that brings us to our police year-end report. Greg?
This is the usual year-end report that I go over for the year for our substation. Staffing has stayed the same. Our calls for service for 2021, when I say calls for service, that's every dispatch call that we receive. Within the township and the village combined, we responded to 9,219 dispatch calls this year. That's a significant increase for us by 2,468 dispatch calls for the same staff. A lot of that had to do with, at least I'm hoping, with the restrictions being lifted from COVID. It seemed like as soon as that started to ease up, is kind of when everybody was out and about and back to normal and then some.
What do you mean normal?
Sure.
What does normal mean?
But our and I broke it up because the village, our calls and our statistics are separate from the township to village. We have to report them separately. We had 7,897 calls for the township and 1,322 for the village. Those are significant numbers for us, dispatch calls wise, especially more so for the afternoon shift. Our afternoon shift this year has not been able to be proactive a lot because of just the amount of calls. I mean, on Wednesdays we have 3 cars, the other days we have 2 cars on. Day shift's a little bit different because I'm around, the sergeant's around, and 2 detectives, so we can put more cars out if we have to. During 2021, we issued 1,018 traffic citations, which is actually down. The sheriff changed some of our the things that we've been doing, different calls we responded to because of COVID. We were stopping a lot less cars, unless it was something you basically couldn't look past, just to keep from having that face-to-face contact, being up that close to a vehicle. I listed the different violations, that were the most, that we wrote the most of, obviously moving violations. We also wrote 41 appearance tickets, and an appearance ticket are in lieu of an arrest, or actually in lieu of lodging somebody. Yeah, there are certain crimes we can write an appearance ticket and send you on your way, rather than lodging you down at the jail. The jail, even some of the things that we normally would lodge for, they wouldn't take because of the COVID numbers inside the jail. So we started issuing a few more appearance tickets when we could. The appearance tickets, the only thing that we don't write an appearance ticket for is, obviously OUIL or OUIN. But some domestics, where there's no responsible trespassing, disorderly person, some of those things, where we can actually seek a warrant at another day or just write the appearance ticket and see them in court. This year, 12 drivers were arrested for operating under the influence of alcohol and or drugs. Those numbers are low in my opinion for out here. When I first come out here, we were up in the 30s and 40s for drunk drivers. Those numbers seem to be down quite a bit. Part of that, I think, some of our just being seen as far as being out. I know there's a couple of bars that are, if we're out on 15, I mean, I've literally seen them, looking for our cars, and I'll see somebody come out to the edge of M15 and literally wave them on if they can't see one of our cars. So, and with the COVID numbers, we just weren't stopping as many cars, so it wasn't happening. In addition to regular traffic enforcement, we responded to 291 traffic-related crashes, including 3 fatal accidents. This includes both on state UD10 and private property. The year before, we responded to 271 accidents. 2 of those fatals were ATVs, and at both times, drivers and passengers intoxicated. That was 2 out of the 3. The other one was a motorcycle fatality on Oakland. Our narcotics enforcement team conducted 5 investigations, executed 3 search warrants, and arrested 3 people. Our school liaison numbers seem to still be on the increase. Last year, we had 170 incidents that we were called to by one of the 4 schools, with 60, I think it was 67 of those being actual investigations. And when I say investigations, those are actual crimes. I'll say, like either some type of a sexual contact crime, CSCs, but some of those are very lengthy investigations. Those are the ones that often, because of the ages, being minors, take the school liaison right out of the school because of care house interviews, that type of thing. And I listed the different, the amount of calls per each school. Obviously, the high school leads with 93, the middle school with 54. For 2020, we had 172 incidents, 64 of them being investigations, so it really wasn't much of an increase there. I was able to use the school liaison last year on 9 occasions to keep from hiring overtime. That was, in the summer, where I was able, if somebody took a vacation day or called in sick, I was able to use that school liaison because there was no one in school to fill that in. That's a little bit down from the years prior. Our crime statistics clearance rates. In 2021, there were 90 micro-reported criminal offenses handled in Brandon Township. Out of those 90 incidents, 58 of those resulted in arrest, and 7 were exceptionally cleared, which normally means that there is no prosecution sought. Brandon Township has one of the highest clearance rates in Oakland County. I didn't think this number was even possible, to be honest with you, but we had a 72% clearance rate on all major offenses. Those offenses are the offenses that the feds and the state monitor when you get your clearance rates as far as safest cities, safest villages that come out. Last year, I think we were the 2nd highest in the county. One of our other substations came in higher. This year, it should be about the same as far as where we rank. I can tell you that there's 2 substations that are going to have a clearance rate like that, and you're not going to see that out of any other substation or any other local police department. Those numbers are very high.
Yeah.
58 arrests out of 90 major incidents is quite high. The Village of Ortville had 52 of those criminal offenses, with 32 of them being resulting in an arrest and 6 exceptional clearances. And they also had one of the highest clearance rates for any of the villages at 73%. Between the township and village, we had 142 of those reported criminal offenses with 90 arrests and 13 exceptional clearances. This means that out of 142 major cases, 103 of those incidents resulted in either an arrest or an exceptional clearance. Those numbers are almost off the charts. But I can tell you from my own knowledge that even as a lieutenant, we come out at night, we make these arrests. We had one guy had his truck, his plow, salt box, everything stolen off of Wolf Road. We ended up one night in Romulus recovering the salt box and plow. The next night we were in Flint recovering the truck. with my other guys, with the detectives, you don't have clearance rates like this sitting behind a desk. I worked undercover for almost 20 years. I know what it takes to put a case together and make an arrest. And if I have to go out with guys, that's what we do. On that case in particular, we were up in Flint running around the ghetto until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. But ultimately, it ended up, I've never had a case where we actually recovered all of the person's stolen stuff. And we did on that case. And it started with somebody posting backpack blowers that were stolen on Facebook. And we made an arrest there, developed a snitch, and it just all kept rolling. So that's how these rates come up. Last year's clearance rate was 69%. In summary, with the increase of 2,468 dispatch calls, this is a significant increase for our staff, especially, I always say this to detective bureau, because ultimately that's where these cases end up. They're the ones that are submitting these cases for warrants and often seeing them through the circuit court. Traffic accidents, slight increase. Our domestic off the charts this year. There were times when we were getting 3 or 4 domestic calls a day, sometimes a shift. With the COVID, it kind of continued. Our domestic calls were ridiculous. Traffic enforcement's always a focal point for us, which we believe have resulted in continued decline in drunk drivers out here and/or drivers operating under the influence of narcotics. But like I said, however, COVID had made a major impact on drunk driving arrest and the amount of tickets that we wrote this year. We weren't stopping cars to have that face-to-face contact if we didn't have to, for the most part. We've continued to make a strong effort of being more visible in problem areas. Allen Road and Sashball Road is the paved section. We get more citizen complaints on those sections of road than anywhere in the township. The citizen complaints, especially on Sashball Road, ever since they paved that, it's been the Autobahn. They disregard stop signs. The problems are a lot of that's on afternoon shift, and it's difficult for me to set a car and just work radar on that stretch. I do it on occasion. Rick Gibbons, I'm sure, sees me once in a while. I throw a light in his window when I'm there because he is one of the guys that complains. We get a lot of calls from him, but it's an Autobahn. I'm proud of our staff assigned to the substation. Like I said, with the clearance rates that we have, it just goes to show you the work ethic out of the detectives, the patrolmen, especially with the clearance rates. I mean, the guys take it personal a lot. Some of the guys live in the township, not all of them. The guys work a little bit harder. I think it make an arrest on major cases when they actually live here, kids go to school here. And that's
I watched you give this same presentation to the village, and you gave this, I don't want to call it an anecdote, but you were talking about who has the highest clearance rates and why some other guy might have higher clearance rates. I thought it was kind of funny, so.
Well, I can tell you, I know who that other substation is. I call him every year, and I said, if you have to cheat to win, you're losing. And I told him, I said, you're the first loser. But I know that seriously, there's no way you come up with a clearance rate.
But didn't you say that they wait for us to come out with our rate, and then they...
I can tell you that I've run the statistics and put in where I think we're at. And 2 days later, check those statistics again, and we've amped it up.
There you go.
Do that right at the last minute. But, there's some things that you cannot. The ones that are the hardest ones for us to do anything with is obviously the identity theft, the frauds. They're off the charts. Those are all, most of those people that are committing those are not even in this country. When I was working undercover, I worked with a family that was out here, and they were literally from Nigeria, or they were Nigerians in Montreal, Canada, taken up. When I was involved in that, there was literally about 12, 15 Nigerians in an apartment in Montreal, Canada. And when the raid was done, each one of them had phone lines and a list. And anybody that fills out any social media type paperwork, giving any information, it goes to one central location. And if they get one crooked person in that office, they'll sell those stacks of material. And now they have all your information, and they just keep it. And that's literally how it happens. Quick.
I just wanted to commend you on the exceptional clearance rate that you've produced over the years, you and your staff, and just to thank you for being on top of it like that. And also the training that you give to all the guys that work in your office. I mean, they can't get that in other substations.
Police work's changed over the years, and when I hired in, I got to work with when I was the young guy on the road, I worked with a lot of senior guys, and the job was just done differently today than it was yesterday. And I get guys tell me all the time, they said, you're the only lieutenant that goes out on tracks in the middle of the winter and with the dogs. I still like doing the job, and I got into the job to catch bad guys, not go the opposite direction. And some of those things have changed, and I know guys today that's just not a drive to them, and it doesn't matter whether it's my family. I mean, I live out here. When it comes to drunk drivers and some of these cases, you start taking it a little personal. So you have to make it go ahead.
I just, first off, me, I'm the numbers person, so your calls are up 6 to 7 a day, that's a lot. And if you take your total calls and divide it by just number of days, you're averaging 25 calls a day, which is just over one an hour, which is a lot for out here people. If you want to break it down, I just thought I'd break it down like that for people. So first off, thank you for everything that you and all the guys do. My second question is I know we had a significant increase of almost 2,500. Would you say that's pretty equal between the township and the village, or you're not sure? I'm just curious on that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty equal.
Okay, I was just curious if one raised more than the other.
The numbers of the village are always kind of slighted because anybody that walks up to the substation and knocks on the door that has an issue, that statistic is run through the village because they're using our substation for an address.
Okay.
So those numbers are always a little bit higher.
Okay.
And then the other big significant thing was that, like a lot of the medicals that the fire department runs on, we run on every fire department.
Right.
Sometimes there's not a fire department issue, it's a police issue. And this year, because of the COVID things, we just weren't running on medicals. If we didn't have to be there, we didn't go.
Right, and now that COVID's kind of died down and hopefully back to normal like we're all hoping for, do you see that calls could go up even more because things are back open where, like I know for a while there, the bars were closed, restaurants were closed and stuff like that, so could there even be more of an increase?
It could be. Our afternoon shift, they literally, not always, the 12 guys on board that are retired policemen, one day you might run 40 or 50 calls, and the next day you might run 10.
Right, yeah, that's just my average, but yeah.
Our afternoon shift, they never rest very often.
Right.
If they run a lot of calls, and the problem with today's calls is most calls are required 2 officers.
Right.
There's not very many calls that we just go to ourselves like we used to.
Well, yeah, you don't.
That's the tie-up.
Right, I can see not wanting to do that, and I'm not saying it's just 1 call an hour, because I know someday it could be 50 calls, and then, like you said, so it could be really rough.
Our day shift, our midnight shift, we don't have an issue with call volume.
Okay.
It's our afternoon shift.
Yeah.
And often myself or the sergeant, especially if they're busy, if an arrest takes somebody out of the township, we will stay over until they get back. Sometimes you just don't want you leaving the guy by himself, or you're relying on independence or Oxford to send over a car, which happens a lot here.
So Greg, with these continued increases over the last few years, do you think that we're still sized correctly, or is it time for us to look at adding something?
When I worked out here as a patrolman, we had a 7 to 3 car. And back in 08 and 09, I think that's when they done away with that position. There were some cuts made. That position made a big difference. I'm not so sure about a 7 to 3 because literally, for anybody that drives out here, after midnight, the traffic volume is significant decrease. It's more of that, like 6 to 2. I'd love to have a car on until 2 in the morning, just specifically for traffic enforcement. I know there are far more drunk drivers on the road than 12 arrested here. To me, that number, I don't like that number. It should be in the 40s or 50s, but you have to have a car that can specifically work traffic, and that's just what I don't have. Something that would be a Monday through Friday type position, maybe a traffic position / waymaster. Somebody that wears 2 hats. Our truck volume out here, you guys see it. Oakwood, Seymour Lake Road, the gravel trains, the semis out here are ridiculous. Somebody wants to add a gravel train set up off Wolf Road, that would add another 200 gravel trains. Our busiest section is 15 within a school zone. That's what we're looking at.
So when you say afternoon, what hours are your afternoon? 'Cause
3 to 11.
okay.
That's
So that's literally our busiest time of the day.
if
Right,
we
that's
so if
what
we
I was
did
just-
add something, you would like it for that time frame.
7 to 3, 6 to 2, something like that. But like I said, I want it to be almost a target position, where, at times, like with Sashwell. I mean, I'd love to be able to set a car there, and, I mean, because we could whack people there all day long, it's ridiculous. But we try not to ticket all of our township residents.
Right.
I mean, really, and it's not just kids, it's everybody that drives that way through there.
You're referencing Sashwell, right?
Yeah.
That's one of my running routes, and since they paved that thing, it is like that. Unlike any other road, it seems like they come over that hill before
They do.
Sherwood, and they're just gun it. And so, anybody who wants to decide, hey, let's have a paved road, might want to reconsider having that, because you're gonna have cars go by you really fast.
I think somebody in the audience said that, too.
Right.
You'd rather have it paid.
Really?
But I mean, you look at that position, but I mean, it's not just there. I mean, I could make a loop on Baldwin right now between Seymour Lake Road and Granger and get somebody at 70 miles an hour, and it's constant.
Right.
You just don't have the body just to sit there and work detailed traffic.
Well, with budgets coming up in the next few months, we'll have to look at that. We'll talk more about it.
Lieutenant, thank you. And pass
Thank you, Greg.
along our thanks to the troops, too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, that brings us to our trustees' reports. Kathy, we'll start down there.
The Retirement Oversight Committee met on April 14th, 2022. Sue Feinberg from MERS was there for her annual pension report presentation and was able to also give us insight on the MERS Healthcare Savings Plan, which we will continue to consider for township employees. On April 29th, the Election Commission met, and we are recommending approval of new business items K and L, at least K and L that was presented originally on here. And I just wanted to wish everyone a happy Memorial Day and hope to see you at the parade.
Thank you, Kathy. Steve?
So, this past month, we had a planning commission meeting, and nothing really monumental there, and we got one tomorrow. Went to the MTA conference in Lansing, which was very informative for a new trustee to go there and meet other townships and see how they do it, as well as the classes that they have going on there, because quite frankly, they don't have schools for trustees and stuff like that, so it's good to go to this stuff. I went to the no-haz thing at the county, directed traffic from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. That was, my arms got tired. I think it was 1,300 people came through, or cars. And Brandon will be having one June 11th with everything, being able to come with all the concrete, correct?
Brandon Township, yes.
Brandon
It's on
Township,
my-
right?
Yep, that's on my
I'll be
report.
there for that. And we had a Septemberfest meeting, so we're expanding that to 3 days, so looks like a lot of fun. So, other than that, that's it.
All right, thank you, Steve. Bob?
Nothing really. Everything that I went to has already been discussed, so
Okay.
I'm not going to beat a dead horse.
All right, thank you, Bob. Dana?
I had on April 5th a Parks and Rec Subcommittee meeting, and we basically discussed the concessions and bathrooms. The minutes are in your packet, so I won't go into much detail there. Just want to let you know I attended that. And then also on 4/14, I attended the Retirement Oversight Committee meeting. Kathy gave some information on that. The other thing that we did there was we discussed our reports and making sure that everything's being done complete and on time. And we have state reporting to do. And so in our packet under the new business, new number G, or letter G, will be where we're asking for our next actuarial valuation report to be done.
Yes, thank you, Dana. That brings us to Scott.
Jason, in the interest of time, we're not collecting taxes right now. Dog tags do have to be paid for by June 1st, or they go delinquent, and the delinquent fees almost double the cost, or more than double the cost, depending on what kind of tag you're getting. So if you're going to get dog tags, do it before June 1st.
Thank you.
That's it.
Rosalind?
Okay, good evening. Thank you all for attending the board meeting for the Charter Township Brandon. The audit for Brandon Township is still being completed. Candidates looking to serve on the Village of Ortonville Council can stop by the clerk's office to pick up a nominating petition. There's one president seat that is a 2-year term, and there's 3 trustee terms available for 4 years. There's also 1 partial term trustee available, and that's for a 2-year term. The filing deadline is July 26th of 2022, and by 4 p.m. Over the next month, voters should be seeing voter ID cards show up their mailboxes. The ID cards are being sent out due to the redistricting. And so with the redistricting, there's been various changes due to the districts. There was no precinct changes. If you do have any questions, you're encouraged to call the clerk's office. And in April, the Election Commission met, and we discussed a temporary precinct change along with opting out of the Oakland County Absentee Voter Counting Board. And recommendations will be presented at tonight's board meeting.
All right, thank you, Rosalind. For me, I just wanted to bring, it is in our correspondence, but so the public knows there, Oakland County is going to be doing some beach sampling in the township, and that is at the Clearwater Campground. I believe that's Green Lake. It will be done in June. We, just so the board knows, we did receive another CVT check, revenue sharing check, just under $240,000. June 11th is our first Township Cleanup Day out at the Township Park. You can call the supervisor's office for an appointment. They are taking those now, and as Steve mentioned, he will be working that event that day. The next No-Haz Day is June 4th at Oxford Middle School. You can register for that event at nohaz.com. And we are still looking for a volunteer from the township to work that day. If we do not find a volunteer, we will end up paying probably one of Fred's staff to do it.
No, I'm expecting a grandbaby that day.
Oh, are you? Congratulations.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, she will be working that. So if we don't have one, we'll find it there. And then just so the residents know, the first round of chloride in the township out of our chloride application should be done and completed by the end of this week on all of our dirt roads. And that is it for me tonight. That brings us into our correspondence, which we have quite a bit of this today. We have a letter from the Village of Ortonville regarding the Mill Street paving project. There's the Green Lake sampling letter from Oakland County Health Department. Road Commission gravel program. I did forward you all this in an email before, but I put it in here just so the public knows that probably is not going to start until July now. They are sending it back out for bid because they didn't like the 2021 prices did not hold. So it has to go back out for rebidding. Now, this does not affect our 3 roads that were supposed to be done last year. Those will still be done way before July at last year's prices. Okay. We have a Oakland County Health Network proclamation for May as Mental Health Month. We have a thank you from the BGYA for their for their award ceremony. We have the Retirement Oversight Committee meeting minutes of August 17th of 21, Planning Commission meeting minutes of 1/11/22, Planning Commission meeting minutes of 2/8/22. We have ZBA meeting minutes from July, September of 21, and January and March of 22. We have the Parks and Rec Subcommittee meeting minutes for April of 22, Election Commission meeting minutes for April of 22, and September of 21. All right. Lots of correspondence this month. That brings us to citizens' comments. Citizens' comments this time are for agenda items only. You do have 3 minutes, which we do time. So, and please state your name and your address, please. Does anybody have anything about an agenda item?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Hi. I'm Lori Skibo. Both myself and my husband are products of the Brandon School District. Started at kindergarten and H.T. Burt, and I am a proud graduate of the 1991 graduating class. I still live here in the Brandon School District today. I'm also a precinct delegate for the state of Michigan's Republican Party. And as such, my responsibility is to organize, to communicate, to advocate on behalf of Republican voters and our small, tightly knit communities here in North Oakland County. I'm also an eyewitness to the 2020 election fraud. I was a Republican poll challenger in Detroit at TCF. I was one of the many volunteers who were unlawfully restricted from the absentee counting board, where my rights, not only as a Republican, but as an American, were unconstitutionally stripped away from me under the guise of COVID mandates, while laws were ignored and obfuscated. What haunts me about that day isn't the loss of an election. My side has lost plenty of elections. It's because when the Republicans, I'm sure many of you probably have seen the videos by now, as all the Republicans are escorted out of the room and the pizza boxes are going up on the windows, what we believe is that that is the moment that our military ballots were brought in to the absentee ballot counting room. What is supposed to happen is when you have a military ballot and it has to get onto the Michigan ballot, someone has to witness the transfer of information. Suppose under law, one Republican and one Democrat watch the poll worker transcribe that information. And I want this to resonate with you. Not a single Republican poll challenger was in the room when that process happened. Our soldiers who fight in foreign land to protect our borders, and we weren't given an opportunity to protect their ballots in their own country. So now, I'm a political activist and an election integrity volunteer. I have spent hundreds of hours volunteering my time researching, speaking, meeting, and advocating for it. I want to tell you that election fraud is a conspiracy theory, because I wish it was, but it's real. I wish I could tell you that it's a one-sided political party who's to blame, but it has become painfully obvious that it's both. It was through this volunteerism that led me to discover that 14 separate Oakland County cities and townships had entered into a self-renewing contract.
Lori, your 3 minutes is up, I'm sorry. You'll have more time at the end. You could speak again at the end, but thank you. And guys, I just wanted a reminder, this is for items that are on the agenda only. The election and election fraud is not on the agenda.
But it is to pull back on the contract, correct?
Yeah, but that's not what you were talking about. You didn't mention that in 3 minutes.
She was going to get to it.
Okay, well, I can only tell you what she spoke of. I don't know what she was going to get to. Okay, so just a reminder, we are only here to talk about what's on the agenda during this time. At the end, you have 3 minutes to talk about anything that you want to. Is there anybody else that wants to speak on an agenda item? Yes.
Hi. Most of you know me, but I'm Heather Wills. I am a resident and business owner right here in the village. I live at 101 South Street, just a short walk from here. I would like to ask you to please consider opting out of the agreement with the Oakland County for the election services. And the reason that I think it's a good idea to opt out of this, I was actually on the counting board in Oakland County, and I voted here absentee. And my opinion, when I voted here, I was so impressed with how well the process went. My signature was verified. Everything, went exactly the way that I felt that it should go. When I counted the absentee ballots down at the county, I felt like there were a lot of questions. There were a lot of things that just were not answered in what I think was a proper manner to have it done. So I would prefer to see our ballots counted here. So that's
that's all.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Hey, Rosalind, I just want to interrupt for a second. Can you explain, because we talked about this today, can you explain that the reason this is on the agenda, really, the election subcommittee has already decided that we are going to opt out, and the only reason that it's on the agenda here is really to allow the board to give final approval, because they gave final approval before, but it's already, the decision's really already been made.
So
to
yes,
opt out,
the
just so
reason
people know.
why I put it on here is because the board opted into that contract with the county in 2020. It was actually in July. So if the board voted into that contract, that's why I presented it to the board so that we could opt out as a whole.
Right.
So can I ask that, what you just stated, does that mean all across the board that's being opted out? So none of us really, that's why we're here to talk, need to talk about it?
We still have to vote.
We still have to vote.
Still gotta
but-
vote.
Still
I just
want to-
didn't want you to all be concerned that you were swaying. It's already kind of been decided that we're
Okay,
going to opt out.
Because I know that's
Yeah.
what I was, I mean,
Yeah.
hey, hi.
All right.
I'll get up. Jen Gilman, my address is 1649 Dunwoody Street. I'm just going to give you a real quick synopsis. We moved from Houston 3 years ago. Wife, mom, homeschooler, and a business owner who has lived in this great little town. I love it compared to the big city. I'm also one that is entering into this world because I'm tired of being a keyboard warrior and I'm ready to do something rather than just bicker about it. Which brought me here because I did hear talk, kind of like she was saying, we all have an opinion about what happened, but all we can control is this in front of us. So when I saw that that was even an option, that we do that, I just thought, you know what, hey, I gotta come here and just ask that all of you in your positions and what you do. And it sounds like you already did, so I'm not gonna go into my whole, please, think about, but, yeah, that's what I came to talk about. As a resident here, I just would feel more comfortable, of course, knowing that less hands are on the ballots, with all the craziness of what's going on. I don't see, I know there are a lot of people that have offered to help. I think the hands on deck part of it is there. So I'm very happy to hear, thank you, Scott.
Well,
that
thank
that's
Rosalind.
already that's gonna be voted on. But if you are not voting yes, I would ask that you give it a thought because your residents, quite a few are here to just ask that you would take that into consideration. As residents, we just would like that our stuff stay more in-house if possible. So appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to talk on an agenda item?
My name is Thomas Bartz. I'm a Brendan Township resident. I'm really glad to hear that this was, already pre-resolved. We weren't made aware of that, so that's why we have a fair amount of people here. I'm certain that if you're looking for help, we can provide quite a few people that are nonpartisan that would be more than happy to help out with the township. I don't know what the cost was for doing this with Oakland County or Pontiac, but we can eliminate that cost with volunteers, okay? As far as election integrity goes, something came up, and I'm kind of going to throw Lieutenant Glover under the bus, but, the waiting until they get the other statistics in to put in their statistics, I'm sure he would like to be present when those statistics are being collated in order for his substation numbers.
Thank you. That's funny. Is there anybody else? Okay, not seeing any. That brings us into our discussion. There is no discussion items for tonight. That brings us into our consent agenda. We have the regular meeting minutes of April 4th, 2022. Regular bills in the amount of $11,998. Prepays in the amount of $327,308.12. Township benefits from payroll account of $31,826.22, and trustee timesheets in the amount of $972.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay.
Support.
All right, thank you, Kathy and Bob. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. So because we're spending money, we'll go ahead and roll call that, please.
DePalma?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Unruh?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Broughton?
Yes.
Trumbull?
Yes, motion carries. All right, no unfinished business, so we'll get right into the new business. Reminder, the first three are removed, so the fire department is now letter A. Chief Quapis?
Evening.
What you have in front of you is a request to fill a vacancy that we have in our department in the full-time ranks. So we have a full-time paramedic that has left, has worked with Waterford Regional Fire Department, and we have a candidate in-house that we'd like to fill that current open position. Fire Authority has recommended this hiring as well.
I'll make that motion to hire John
Mulvihill.
Mulvihill, thank you.
I'll second.
With a start date of May 16th, 2022.
I'll second.
Already seconded. Thank you, Steve.
I was just trying to finish my sentence.
Yeah.
Done.
All right, so we have a motion to hire John Mulvihill. No, Mulvihill. Yeah, Mulvihill, with a start date of May 16th, 2022. We'll go ahead and roll call that, please.
Marshall?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Unruh?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Broughton?
Yes.
DePalma?
Yes.
Rumble?
Yes, motion carries.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, now mine is out of order here. What do we got going on? All right, so IT support services contract. Randy, come up here just in case anybody has anything for you, please. All right, this is the contract that Randy walked us through. Scott, I asked Scott to look at this for me since his his background is in IT, so I asked him to review this and go over it with me. We did send this contract to Stuart. Stuart requested some changes which were made, and Scott and I are satisfactory with those. So we are bringing that to the board to contract for that in the amount of $16,800 for 22, 23, and 24. The motion does need to say supervisor and clerk to sign it. So I'll add that to allow the supervisor to clerk to sign. And we do need to move some money into this for this and for the second motion, which is about email. So we do need to move $12,500 from the carry forward into 101-944-778 -100. So because I said all that, I'll make that motion. I want to move $12,500 from the carry forward into 101-944-778 -100 to approve the IT Right Information Technology Service contract as presented and allow the supervisor and clerk to sign it.
Support.
Thank you, Steve. All right, because we are spending money, we will go, or does anybody have any questions on that before we go?
I just have a question. I'm okay with going all forward with the IT services contract. My only question is I can never remember the dollar limit to get an RFP. Not that I want to have to do an RFP, I just didn't know.
So when you have the policy, we are allowed to supersede the RFP when we know that the RFPs are going to be drastically more.
Okay.
So it's just spinning our wheels. So under our policy allows us to go over that when it's so specialized service that RFPs wouldn't result in any lower contract.
And I discussed it also with Stuart.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Via email of the problem with taking something like this to RFP, it's so specialized.
Right.
And you're not going to be able to compare apples to apples. And so, yeah, if we could follow the guidelines and say, yeah, we got to put this to bid. But even if another company came in, Randy, don't listen to this part of it. Even if they came in, $5,000, $8,000 less, I would still recommend IT Right, just because they know our systems and they've been working with us for the past 6 years.
I just want to make sure we're following where someone can't
We
go
understood.
back, so.
It's if you look on the reading there, it's in there that we
but
can do that.
it didn't say what the dollar amount was that you usually have to get, so that's what.
Oh, it's $2,500.
So sealed bids,
Okay.
RFPs are required for sealed bids, anything over $20,000.
Yeah, per
20,
seal.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But it's over 25 still has to come to the board too.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Scott, is I've got some wiggle room, I can come up and stick
No.
$10,000 increase is plenty.
That's only Scott. There's other people on the board.
Yeah.
Plugging his ears.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, I think, any other questions? Looks like we're good. Okay, we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote on that, please.
Thurman?
Yes.
Unruh?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Broughton?
Yes.
DePalma?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Rumble?
Yes. So Randy, you'll see that contract signed by me and Rosalind pretty soon. And that brings us to the second part of the IT right stuff. This is email license upgrade. So again, we are looking to upgrade our email system to go to the same system that the fire department is already using. So we're just playing catch up with their emails. This would allow us to receive and send our emails on more than one device. And if we send it from one, it shows up on the other one, where now it doesn't.
It's because it's sitting on a server, and especially for the trustees, as I started as a trustee, you log in for the first time and you've got mail enable, which is, yeah, we've only been with IT right for 6 years, but mail enable, that tool has got to be 15 plus years old. Okay, so new system, it'll look more like Outlook or Outlook.com, and like Jason said, fire department's already done this conversion, and it's just time for us to get with today.
So I have a question then for that, talking about that. Will we get new emails, or our emails will stay the same?
Your email addresses will stay the same.
Okay.
But it's going to be hosted in the Microsoft Government Cloud space.
Okay.
Which is a great place for it to be because it's guaranteed. And at that point, once it's up there, there is no data loss.
So if right now at home I have it going into my Outlook on my computer, so I can only access my email there. I don't log in anywhere from my phone. So if I'm up north or on vacation, will someone help me figure out? Because I can't get emails when I'm gone. Like, I don't get any of my emails ever. I don't check my township email when I'm not here.
Once we convert, technicians should be reaching out to each of you during conversion to make sure that you're set up on the devices that you want to be set up on.
Okay.
But if somehow you get missed and you're up north, just call us and we'll set you up on the phone.
Okay.
Everything is seamless, like Scott said, so the experience that you have on the phone will be the same experience you have on the computer. So for instance, if you've got 10 emails, but you've read 8, you've deleted 2, when you come back to your computer, it'll be the same environment there.
Okay.
Plus everyone's going to have a web login. You need to get via the web if you don't have an app with you. It's just going to be a lot smoother.
Well, that'd be nice if I could get emails when I'm away, like when I'm gone for a week and I have no clue what's going on, something important's happening. It's kind of difficult.
You wouldn't even, at that point on your phone, you wouldn't be able to change your out of office. So if you weren't unreachable for some reason for a couple of days, you could put that message up and anyone email you would keep that message.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay, that'll be good for us.
Chief, you had something to say?
Yeah, and what I was just going to say is IT Right will do a great job of making sure that if you have a question on any device using that Outlook, they will answer that, get you set up, and walk you through it. They've
Okay.
done it with all of our staff.
Okay.
And all the comments I get back are 5 pluses, but, we'll have to work on that, because he said he needs some.
Yeah,
something
yeah.
to work on, so.
You take that quite seriously,
All right, thank you, Randy. Does any other questions? I'll make the motion because I got to adjust it. To approve and pay the IT Right quote invoice to upgrade our township email system for $3,700 to be paid from 101-944-778, period 100, which is where we just moved the money in the previous one. So it'll be paid out of the same line item.
And the
I'll
money is
support.
moving from carry forward?
From the carry forward, yes. But that's not part of this motion because we moved it in the previous one.
Yeah.
And I seconded that.
Okay. All right, so we have the motion. Lisa, do you got that one? Do you want me to?
I do.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and roll call that, please.
Unruh,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Broughton,
Yes.
Palma,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Trumbull.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
Well
you for
said. Hey,
coming out
Randy,
tonight.
You don't need to stick around, but I don't know how to say this without making everybody laugh. I need my dongle.
Say what?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now mine are out of order again here. So now next is the the Substation Air Conditioning. Greg, do you want to come up? So Lieutenant Glover and I started this last year looking into prices to get a new heating system and cooling system in the substation. We did not have money in there for that last year, so we budgeted for it this year. And the prices keep going up and up, so we decided, after getting quotes more recent again, that it is time to do that. And we had received 2 quotes. We had a third, but they said they could not meet the price that we had on the other 2, so we only have these 2 in front of us. So we're looking at a motion to award Goyette Mechanical the heating and cooling bid for the substation in the amount of $18,100 to be paid from 207-171-976-000. That's facility improvements, and allow the supervisor and I guess the clerk to sign it as well.
So moved.
I will second.
Okay. Kathy's on it tonight. Very quick. Do you have that one too, Lisa? I know I changed it a little.
You just added that, right?
The clerk, yep.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. All right. Any
have-
questions?
I have
Yes.
a question.
Yep.
As I recall, wasn't this mounted on the roof before?
No, you guys, the building's a.
It's a boiler.
That building's ancient, and that building was never designed as a substation.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Whatever was prior, I was in that building. when we
Preschool.
moved in.
Was it?
Yeah, I mean, it's,
My kids went there.
when I came out here, I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I mean, for one, it's not a substation. We're making it a substation. There's never been air conditioning in that building. We have 4 window air conditioners, not even one in the locker room, and which doesn't allow the building to even be secure. I mean, that's a problem. I don't
Mike-
know if that's went on for as long as it has.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I seem to recall there was something that was not making the building secure. They could push things in. Is that the?
That's those.
What you're talking about.
Oh, okay, all right.
Window air.
The window air conditioners can be pushed in.
Yeah, it's-
All right.
They're small window air.
I'm going to get my dope back.
Whoops. Come on,
So those
Steve.
window air
Oh,
conditioners,
I mean, not my dope,
they're gonna
alleged
come
dope.
out once this gets
Yeah,
done.
what's in there for the heat is a little
boiler.
And the problem is that boiler has to have a yearly inspection.
Yeah.
And it's starting to become expensive, and sooner or later, that boiler's gonna go bad.
Yeah. So we want to
it's
decommission
old.
that along with
So at
this.
some point, we'd like to take that out. This system would be hand here.
So is the security issue going to be taken care of with this purchase?
Yes.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
They're
me
gonna
too.
get rid of the-
Otherwise, Steve's going to get his dope
Steve's on the
back.
window.
Unless they get into the attic somehow.
Yeah, it is. It's a problem. It's just, that building was, they never had it there, and I'll tell you, the locker room, I mean, it's an issue. We're wearing 20 pounds of gear with vests, but it's ridiculous in there that we had to deal with that for as long as we have.
I know the space is tight over there, and I was just wondering, once the old boiler's removed, do you have any plans for the boiler room?
No.
Probably storage is what we said, if we can get it out of
I've
there.
got some guys I'd like to put it. Maybe a different office. But, no, I mean, it's Candy, when Candy was a clerk, we had talked about even putting an addition on that building. I love the location because we're in the village, but the building is just not a substation. We are out of room. I mean, we're busting at the seams. I mean, we've done everything we can do to keep it going, but I mean, space is limited there. And I don't think as old as that building is, I don't think adding on to that building or doing that kind of construction is worth it.
I don't think we have room for it on that lot.
No, there's not.
Will
We've
that,
got to share a parking lot.
will that be heated with the new system, the
Yes.
boiler room?
Yeah, it'll
Could you
have
make it
drums.
the women's bathroom?
No. I mean, it's literally,
don't
it's
have-
like it's a block room.
We want to look at the bathrooms too, because those are rough.
They are, and I'll tell you, I mean, we have a lot of female officers today that we never had before, and we are not equipped for a female officer, and I'm telling you, at some point, we're gonna end up with one, guaranteed.
We have in the past.
And there's just, I mean, we've had one in the past, and it was ridiculous, the setup that we had to make just for her.
And that's what we budgeted that money for, to address those things, so.
We need something for both, for sure.
All right, did anybody else have any questions on this? All right, we will go ahead and do a roll call then, please.
Blair,
Yes.
Broughton,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
Trumbo.
Yes, motion carries. That brings us to, thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
That brings us to the West Nile resolution. We've decided to participate in the program. We got the products in. They are being handed out. And now we just need approval to get reimbursed from Oakland County, but via this resolution.
I'll make a motion for this West Nile Virus Fund Program 2022 resolution.
I'll second.
Thank you.
You don't want me to read it all, do you?
No, I do not.
As presented?
Yes, as presented then, since I
Thank
don't
you.
have to read it.
So because we're as presented, Lisa should be good because we're not spending money, we're getting money back. What's
There's
that?
not a motion here.
I know. So Dana made a motion to approve the West Nile Virus Fund Program 2022 resolution.
As presented.
Maybe
As
to adopt
presented.
it.
As presented.
Should we adopt the resolution?
Okay, sure. That's not what her motion was, though, right?
Yeah,
My motion is
Did you
to
say
adopt.
Okay, sorry, it was.
to adopt.
Thank you, I didn't hear that part. Okay, so we have the motion to adopt, so we know what we have there. Let's go ahead and roll call that, please,
All right.
because we have to have the yeses and nos for Oakland County.
Broughton,
Yes.
Palma,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Rumble.
Yes, motion carries. All right, that brings us to the countertops in the township building. I tried to get some more quotes than this one, but was not able to get any. Several contractors I called didn't call back. I don't know if they're just really busy or they don't want a small countertop job, but I asked our fire marshal if he had a person, and he recommended the guy that he uses, and he actually called back, came in within 24 hours and measured and gave us a quote. And that's the quote that we're looking at here. So we do have, Kathy, I did see your email on this. That money was not for this, it was for the carpet that was transferred, so we
Yeah.
need to put more in there.
Yeah,
So, okay.
that's what I thought.
Okay, so the motion is to award Dwight Watrous the countertop bid in the amount of $10,209.50 and amend 101-265-975 building renovations from,
But it's not the 290.
yes, it is, because
Oh,
the
it's
final
still-
payment was paid to the carpet guy, and that's what's left.
Oh, okay, good.
From $2,947.06 to $12,947.06, with the additional $10,000 coming out of the carry forward.
So moved.
Thank you,
I'll
Kathy.
support it.
Thank you, Rosalind. Any questions on this? We're getting rid of these beautiful blue countertops.
Just in here, or is it
The
gonna
whole
be
building.
The whole building, oh, great, great.
Yep.
Why do we hate blue?
I think it's the style, not necessarily the color, but
Updating.
yeah, updating. So, all right, we have a motion by Kathy, supported by Rosalind as presented. So we will take a roll call, please.
Palma,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Unruh,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Broughton,
No.
Rumble.
Yes. Motion carries 6-1. All right, that brings us into the, actuarial report. Dana and Kathy both brought this up. This is the formal request to approve Watkins Ross preparing another, or the next valuation that we need. The cost on that is $5,800, and this is being recommended, as they mentioned, by the Retirement Oversight Committee. We're hoping that to have this back by the end of June, so they can have their meeting and get done what they need to get done. So,
You know, I've sat through, I don't know, ever since 2016, I don't remember being charged just to do a re-actuarial report.
We
Is it?
were-
that's the partway one. They do the full
They
one
used
and then-
to have us do the actuarial like every 3 years, and then they changed it to 2
Okay.
years, and then it was every other year you had to get the full actuarial done, and then and the off year you got a report.
They just update it.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
a
I know
different
this
kind of
has to
report,
get
so it-
done.
And
but-
I think it's a Gatsby requirement. or
Yeah,
something.
but this is just boilerplate where they're plugging in our numbers and charging us $50 to $100 for that.
But
It's
the
just,
other
No, the
places are more
5,800 is the
expensive.
actual report.
that's what I'm saying, it's boilerplate kind of, but anyways, I guess we got to do
What-
it, so.
Okay, what I wanted to say was,
Up to date, the other places were much higher.
Oh, okay.
yeah, this place is reasonably priced for an actuarial audit, whatever you want to call it. Because they do some checking on things, and they do actually the report, but what it is it's actually 2 reports. So what we need to make sure is that what we're approving here is for both to get done, which the 4,400 is for the 2021, which is the one that just ended this December, so we're hoping to get the report shortly. Because Lisa has stuff that she does for the state, and then just also going forward to making sure that where our percentages lies. Now, then next year, at the end of this year, at the end of 22, in 2023, we would pay $1,400 to get an updated report with updated numbers, but it's not the full report that GASB requires.
Correct. They're both on there if you look under fees.
Correct. So the total is the 5,800, but we don't pay, we'll only pay the 4,400. So then next year at this time, we need to remember to get a hold of Watkins to do the interim one, because that was missed one year. We did not.
He said they didn't do many in 2020, so that's
Right,
why it was-
because of COVID issues.
Right.
So, but we didn't pay for it. I called Lisa.
We did not.
Correct. I called Lisa today, Jason, because you were out. And so I talked to Lisa to make sure we didn't do the 20 and we didn't pay for it. So I just want to make sure right now that we're only paying for the 21, just in case we don't do the 22 again.
We are.
Okay.
It's those two
We're approving to do
reports.
both, but we won't pay until they're completed.
Right.
And that's what happened last time. So that might be, Scott, why you don't recall, because
Okay.
we didn't do anything the end of 20 and 21 with everything going on with COVID.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Watkins Ross bid as presented for 2021-2022 actuarial evaluations in the amount of $5,800 to be paid from 101-299-801-000 professional services, and allow the supervisor and clerk to sign the bid.
I'll support.
Thank you. Any other questions on that? All right, can we get a roll call, please?
Marshall?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Unruh?
Yes.
Correa?
Yes.
Broughton?
Yes.
DePalma?
Yes.
Rumble?
Yes. Motion carries. That brings us into the clerk items. The first one is the temporary polling place change.
Okay, so currently, the election polling place for Precinct 3 is located in the gym of Oakwood Elementary School. It's on Oakwood. Due to the Brandon School District bond going through in 2021, the school district has repairs that are needed. One of the repairs that is most needed is the elementary school parking lot. If you have kids, you know how bad that parking lot is. So they're going to be removing and repaving the summer of 2022. While school is not in session, Brandon Township will need to find a new temporary polling location before June of 2022 for the August election. Andrea and I both met with Margaret from Oakwood Community Church to discuss this temporary precinct change. Jason Wilton and I also went to the polling locations to make sure they were ADA accessible. The Election Commission for Brandon Township met in April, and as well as recommending the temporary change to the Board of Trustees. Oakwood Community Church has plenty of advantages, including a large parking lot with several handicap spaces, an ADA door opener, and voting space. We are grateful for the opportunity, and we're looking forward to the temporary change, and we feel that this change will be convenient for the voters because it's right down the road. So we figure that'll be the closest change for them, so they don't have to drive far. And this is just for the August election. This is not for November.
Okay.
And, oh, no, go ahead.
So with this change, the board I'm required to bring this to the board to make this temporary precinct change. I am required by the state of Michigan to also send out like a postcard mailing to all the voters in that precinct, just to let them know. I will be 100% honest with you, due to the redistricting and all those ID cards, it's going to be confusing. People are going to be getting ID cards sent to their home. Then they're going to get a precinct change. So there's going to be a lot of communication that has to go out, because it would be confusing if you're not in it and you're seeing these hit home. So that's posting in the paper, right? Your website. Just make sure you're communicating to the public. So
Can I just make sure I
Sure.
understand what's going to happen? So that way,
Sure.
because I know a lot of families, there being my kids went to Oakwood Elementary, and it's
Yeah.
some of that area is the voting area. So
Sure.
they're going to first get a district rechange card that still shows Oakwood Elementary, correct?
They will, because it's only a temporary change, it's not a permanent change.
Correct. And then they will get a postcard that says, for August, there's a temporary location to the Oakwood Community Church.
Correct.
Okay, and then if you get something written up, or if I see something in the paper or any of that type of stuff, we can also make sure we try to get it out on Facebook or any other
Absolutely.
social media that people have, because it would be good to help our voters know
Oh,
where to
yeah.
vote at for those people who are being changed. With that, though, I will make the motion to have the Brandon Township Board of Trustees approve the temporary precinct change for Precinct 3 polling place from Oakwood Elementary School to Oakwood Community Church at 2839 Oakwood Road, Ortonville, Michigan 48462, for the August 2nd, 2022 election, and to notify registered voters in Precinct 3 by mail and by notice in the Citizen newspaper.
Support.
I just want to mention too that one of the things the state will tell you is to put a sign on the door of the building. Let's be real, the parking lot being tore up, they're not going to be able to get to the building. And if they can get there, so
But there'll be big signs in
Well,
front of the
here's-
school there, right?
So what I plan on doing is having signs made at the entrance of Oakwood.
right.
They also have a
flashing
electric
sign, yeah.
billboard that we are also going to ask the school to put it on there, so
That's a
you
good
can see
idea.
it on both spots.
And maybe if they could, I know they always have a lot of stuff running, but maybe for that day, if they could
Just-
keep it as a permanent thing.
Yes.
Just keep that always there permanent, that would
I
probably
agree.
be a good
Yeah.
idea. So someone, because I know I've seen stuff on it, and I've actually pulled in and waited for it to go through to be like, what did I
Right.
miss as I'm driving by that I couldn't catch very quickly?
That you only ran over 3 kids trying to.
Luckily, the kids are way away from there. Kathy?
Rosalind, just for clarification, redistricting didn't affect our precincts, did it? It just affected the representatives that are running in certain areas, correct?
That is correct.
So the community
Um,
knows.
I have
Precincts
it.
haven't changed.
The precincts did not change. With the redistricting, nothing really crossed over. None of our locations changed, but if you give me 1 second.
Well, I know Eileen Coel was here last time,
Yeah.
and I think she was running in,
So we're basically losing Mike, and it's either.
Our
gonna be
commissioner's
Eileen or
changing.
Bob.
Yeah,
So we're getting a different commissioner.
and, yeah, the
But no,
commissioners
but she,
changed, but she,
I thought she's running for state rep, though.
yeah. for-
So we're losing Riley.
Riley,
And,
yeah.
you know.
Our U.S. congressional is going from the 8th to the 9th district. Our state senate is going from the 14th to the 24th district. Our state representative is going from the 46th to the 66th district, and to the county commissioner will be from the 3rd to the 7th district.
You know,
we
could you
have that
put
out
Do we have a
there
on
motion?
somewhere?
Hold on, do we
It
have a
is on our
motion?
We have a
website.
motion on the floor.
Yeah,
but
we're talking about stuff that's not on this
It's
thing.
about congressional
so.
things, not about moving the precinct, so I mean, we can discuss this all we want, but.
Well, that's why I wanted to clarify.
We'll go ahead and make, this motion has been made, so as presented, so we'll take a roll call on that, please.
Thurman,
Yes.
Unruh,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Broughton,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Rumble.
Yes, motion carries, and that brings us to the second one, which is the opt-out.
Yes. So in July of 2020, Brandon Township entered into agreement for election services between Oakland County and the Charter Township of Brandon. The agreement allowed Brandon Township, the agreement that we entered into, or that the board at the time entered into, allows the township to opt out of these services per election. As the election administrator of Brandon Township, I am requesting that Brandon Township opts out of these services for the August 2nd, 2022 election. In April, like I said, the election commission met, and we were making the recommendation for the township to opt out of this agreement.
Is this only for this election, or can we opt
That's-
out forever?
I kind of, that's why I brought it to the board, because the clerk can make this decision, but like I said, the board voted this, so I wanted the board to make the decision what they wanted to do. So if we opted out per election, that would be fine, or we could opt out of it as a whole. So
Let's just
I'd rather
rewrite
do
it
that.
and do that right now.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. So when we entered into it, it was for forever, basically, you could be in it?
Yeah,
I think
until
that's what
you
we
opt
did,
out.
yeah.
Until you opt out. So we can either just opt out this election, and then we'd have to do this
Do it every
before
election.
November,
Election.
and then more, or we could do it permanently, unless we change our mind or a new board
Then
changes
But to
their
go-
mind.
Make a motion to opt
I
in
think
back
to
in.
go back into it, there's
You'd have to make a new
obviously,
motion to
yeah.
opt in.
Right, that's what I'm saying, to go, if we totally remove ourselves, you would let Oakland County know that we are no longer participating at all. Now, did we pay to already participate, or do you pay after you
You pay
participate?
per precinct when your ballots are counted.
Okay, so it's not like we've already paid for something that now we're
Right,
not
yeah.
going to do?
Nope.
Okay.
All right, I'll make the motion to permanently opt out of the agreement for having Oakland County County Board count the Brandon Township as absentee voter ballots.
Support.
So we're changing this to be permanent, not
Correct.
just for August 2nd? Okay.
Thank you, Bob. So we have a motion to permanently opt out of the agreement, having Oakland County Counting Board count the Brandon Township absentee voter ballots. And that is, you got that, Lisa? Okay. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and roll call this because we're canceling the contract. So whenever you're ready, Lisa.
Ira,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Broughton,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Brandon,
Yes.
Rumble.
Yes, motion carries. That brings us back to citizens' comments. This time you can comment on anything that you want. You are still limited to 3 minutes. And we do ask that you state your name.
I got a couple questions, if that's okay.
You can ask questions, but we don't answer them at the board meeting. But if you want to contact us,
And call
yeah.
the clerk's office. I will answer any question that you have.
And because I'm new, is the West Nile virus resolution. All I've heard about is COVID. I didn't even know West Nile was the thing. So
It
my
is.
tax dollars are paying for something. What is that? I'll call you.
Bug spray.
You could, my office handles that if you want to call my office, yeah.
$10,295 on countertops. Are these granite? Whole building needed them? Is it just because
It's-
they're outdated? Are they hurting your arms?
Yes.
Like,
No, it's
again,
not.
I don't know anything. I'm new here. So just trying to kind of, because it is kind of, and again, I know inflation's crazy, so that might be.
Yeah.
a good
All
deal, but-
construction is massive right now,
It is.
expensive.
We own an electric business,
Yeah.
so I know. But I was just curious if that was like a need or a want or a, I don't know,
Both.
dollar bougie, or if it's just, you know, you don't come off that way, but again, new, trying to get involved. And lastly, the actuarial report, excuse my ignorance, what, WTH, what is that? Didn't know, again, 5,800, I was agreeing with Scott, like, is that just like audit to make sure that y'all are spending our money correctly? Or like, what does that look like? What is that?
It audits our pension and retirement plans.
Okay, okay, so that's on each of your pension?
It's on every township employee and past employees.
Gotcha, and that's what you pay the 58 to kind of keep that you're in line?
But it's
for-
2 separate reports.
Perfect, and I think that, and then the only other thing I was gonna mention was about the substation. With it falling apart, has it ever been a thought to like relocate? Sure. Like, blowing out, you know, I think of when I
About
drove.
58.
Yeah, she's talking about 58.
Okay. I got you covered on electrical, sir. There you go. Okay, those were just questions.
Thank you.
And I can continue that as I'm learning with y'all's office, so thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate each and every one of you and what you do. And
Thank you.
I'll keep you in mind when I go to work.
Are there any other comments from anybody? Bob?
Good evening. I'm Bob Hoffman, Oakland County Commissioner, and I'm running for re-election. I presently represent Highland, Rose, Springfield, Holly, and Groveland Townships in the village of Holly. With the redistricting, they've added 3 precincts in White Lake and Brandon Township. I was born and raised in Waterford at the best time and the best place with the best parents. Every father in the neighborhood, including my own and my 7 uncles, were all World War II veterans. We were not only raised by our parents, but every parent in the neighborhood. And I always say that our parents gave us everything we needed, but anything we wanted, we had to go get a job. And I wouldn't trade my childhood for anything. But as I get older, I've often thought that I'd probably give up everything if I could have one more hour with my mom and dad. But my parents taught us the promise of America, where if you have an idea, willing to work hard, a little bit of luck, you can accomplish anything you set out to do. And I love being an Oakland County Commissioner. It's like being a trustee on a township board. At this level of government, we can actually help people. One of my favorite quotes is from the Dalai Lama, who said, "Our sole purpose in life should be to help others. If you can't help them, at least don't hurt them." And I think ultimately all our absolute goal in life should be, after we all eventually merge with the universe, and the people that come after us, we hope they say about us that we left this place better than we found it. I expend my time, my energy, and my money to help my constituents. I'll give you one example. During the Great Recession, there was a family in a municipality in a property dispute with that municipality. Somebody said, "Call Bob Hoffman, your county commissioner, because he's a real property rights advocate." The first comment they made was, "Why should we call him? He probably won't help us. You guys will love this. He's a Republican." So anyway, they did call me and I went to see him. And one of the first things I said to them was, before I put my foot in my mouth, "I'm gonna have your entire 20-acre parcel surveyed and I'm gonna pay for it." So I did that. We got the survey back along with the other problems we knew. It was entirely landlocked by a piece owned by Consumers Energy. But the tragedy of this story is this family, husband and wife, 2 preteen children, had no place to live. So they set up a camper on 10 of the 20 acres that was not in dispute. They lived there through some of the coldest winters we had for at least 5 years. And I said to them, "I'm sorry this is happening to you, but I'm glad it happened to somebody like you, because most people just roll over, walk away, and we never know about the injustice you were receiving." It worked its way through the courts, and they ultimately won and got their property back. The last piece of the puzzle, which if it hasn't been resolved already, will be any day. And I thank Consumers Energy for helping. They'll have permanent ingress and egress to their property. And some people say, "You know what, Bob Hoffman doesn't need this job." And you know what, they're absolutely right. I'm not running for a paycheck. And isn't it refreshing to have somebody who's running to serve and he's not doing it for a paycheck? And isn't it also refreshing to have somebody that will not be beholden to anybody? I thank all of you for your public service. God bless you, God bless your families, and thank you for considering me for this position. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you for coming.
Any other citizens before we move into board comments? Yes, sir.
Snyder, Brandon Township, and it sucks that I gotta follow up Bob. My background's systems engineer, master 3 level. I saw the movie 2000 Duels the other day. I highly recommend members of the board take a look at that movie. There's clearly bad things that happened in the 2020 election that need to be resolved. There's a lot of people wondering how we get this resolved. It would be great if our local government officials stepped up and started doing what they can, because some of us are at a loss. It's clearly stolen. It's clearly been whitewashed. It clearly needs to get fixed. With regards to Andrew, I believe, who was doing the IT stuff, I commend him. I feel bad for him. I have to challenge him. Again, with my background, I saw that there were a lot of things with voting machines and stuff that were clearly not just right this time, but looking back, probably not right for the past 3, 4 at least presidential elections. So I just wanted to put that out there and say to the group, this is my first time here. You all seem like a pretty good group of outstanding trustees. I was at the Oakland County Commission Board a few weeks ago. Can you guys take over for them? They need help. So, okay.
Part-time at 50 grand a year? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll volunteer.
Really?
Yeah.
But I will point out, having joined as a precinct delegate for an opening that was there, and I'm currently on the ballot for a precinct delegate. I'm still waffling here because it seems like we got a lot of people, good people doing it. But one thing in the process I've really seen in the past year or so of looking into this is from the government official end, we need people with an IT background worse than ever, because, yeah, Scott is already nodding his head, because when you see the level of just outright fraud, thank you, that went on in that election, and for some of us who have an IT background, it's like, did you seriously do that? Because no one in there with any sort of scruples would have done what appeared to have been done in the 2020 election. So, that having been said, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Brings us back to board comments. Kathy, do you got anything else to add?
Sure. I just wanted to thank everyone for coming tonight and thank all of you who are concentrating your efforts to secure fair elections in our area and our state. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Steve?
Yeah, we got some pretty good leaders here in this township. You got the chief, he keeps us all, it sounds cliche, safe, but he keeps the budget pretty tight. We got a lieutenant over here, has a good clearance rate, and the deputies are always out there. To top it off with the election, we have Rosalind, she just took it upon herself, and I go, what's this election thing about? Because I don't know anything about this. It gets complicated. It's just, this is what needs to be done and changed because I talked to her last week about it, because I go, what is this about? She tells me, like, that's leadership taking initiative, right there. And those two other people back there. And then we got September Fest, we're gonna expand that. So we got safe, and we got fun, and we got fair elections. Pretty good place to live. So that's all.
And then you got me.
Scott, do you have anything else? Ross?
I do. I just encourage you, if you guys have any questions regarding voting or the process of elections, just give the clerk's office a call. We'd be willing to answer any question that you have. I hope you all have a wonderful Memorial Day.
Bob?
Is it Rick or Rich? Rich. Rich, I agree. 2,000 Mules was very eye-opening. I encourage anybody to watch it. One of the reasons I wanted to support Rosalind in the motion to bring it back here, I come from a very small community, and I was on a smaller police department. And we were always of the opinion, if you want it done right, you do it in-house. That way there's no other fingers messing in the pie, and you can make sure that it's done correctly. I have absolute faith in Rosalind that that's exactly what will happen. So I wanted to make sure it was brought back here to the community so we know exactly what's going on. That's it.
Dana?
Can I just second what everybody said? So I don't have to repeat it. Okay, there we go. Thank you for coming. It's nice to have an audience.
It is.
It was nice.
I was thinking, do I have to do this or not? Maybe you do know this.
Yes, you do. There are cameras, and you can watch it.
Yeah.
OTV does a great job filming it, and it's out there on their YouTube channel.
And thank you. I do not have anything else to add to that, what everybody else said. I think we all agree on that, pretty much on everything, so we'll go ahead and look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Rosalind.
Support.
Thank you. Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Who got the support?
Bob or Dana.
Who won the support award?